Well, hi everybody. This is Elizabeth with Live Simple, Live Free. And I am going to show you the process that I've been doing this week on making something called kombucha. I'll put the word down below, Kombucha. And I had found out that my son had been making it, and I had heard of it before because it's supposed to be like loaded full of very beneficial bacteria that are probiotic, just a lot of good fermented things. And I know on my autoimmune protocol diet, I'm supposed to try to eat things that are fermented, really natural sauerkraut that's been naturally fermented. We've been able to get naturally fermented pickles. And so this is a naturally fermented drink called kombucha. Now, before I get anything started, I really have to stress that I am not trying to present myself as an expert. You need to do a lot of research on what this is. Some people think it's great, others aren't so sure about that. I'm already getting a lot of comments from people because I even mentioned it before. I am not trying to present myself as an expert. It's like anytime I talk about the diet that I'm on, please, I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing with you what it is that I'm doing. Talk to your doctor. Do some research. And one of the reasons this has been possible for me is because our son Barry met someone who had been doing this for quite a long time and had a very healthy Scobie mother, which I can explain what that is. And she was able to work with him to show him how to do it. And he has now been doing it for a long time, and he was able to show me. And so as far as someone starting with a starter, please just do a lot of research or something, because I don't know much of anything about that. And so I'm just going to show you the process that I do. Unless you have a healthy Scobie or some way to be able to really get going with a starter, you're not going to go right out tomorrow and make this same thing. I feel very blessed that my son's mother had a baby. I'll explain that. And he gave me the secondary Scobie. That's why I had to get a gallon-sized jar and ended up with a lot of pickles, because it's the best way we could find to get a gallon-sized jar, which I then cleaned thoroughly so I could give it a home to what they call the Scobie. Before we, before I explain what the Scobie is and really, look at all this, I do want to show you the first thing that I really have to get started on. And that is to make the nourishing drink that I'm going to be feeding my Scobie with. And what I've done is I've got a clean pan here. I have put in a cup of sugar into just a bunch of water. I'm not going to say exactly how much water because I'm going to end up adding whatever is needed later on. I don't usually eat much sugar nowadays, but the process is going to consume just about every speck of the sugar. So what I'll do then is I'll get this heated up and get it going and make sure that sugar totally dissolves, and then I'll be putting 5 basic green tea bags in there. I'll just open these up, tie the strings together, and brew some very sweet green tea. And then that has to cool off to a very tepid temperature, kind of room temperature, not too warm and not too cold, because the Scobie is a living organism and I don't want to do anything that'll shock it. So that'll be the first thing I'll actually get started right now. And then I'll come back and start showing you more about this process and introduce you to my weird alien looking thing in the jar. Well, before I explain anything else, by the way, I've got my sugary tea going over there, and I want to give it a chance to brew and cool. But this is some of it that I am just finishing up from the last batch that I made. Isn't that a beautiful color? If you look at it, it looks pretty weird in there, doesn't it? My son is able to just use his finger and just decant it and nothing else comes out but the drink. I've been using this little tea filter and it works out fine. But you always want to have this faced away from you because it's very carbonated. But I'll just show you the rest of my drink here. Yeah, it wasn't too bad this time. Sometimes it pops like champagne. So I'm just going to pour this. There's nothing in here that would hurt you, but if you get too much of the actual, growing colony of things in there, of course, it can be a little strong. So I just filter those out. By the way, this isn't anything gross. This is the fruit that I put in there that's been fermenting and brewing in here with it. So, all right. And I have my measuring cup here from doing the sugar, so I'll just put that like that. And this is from the last batch that I made. And you can see the bubbles in it. I like the flavor. It's very carbonated. Woo! And it's got a little bit of a tartness to it. Not very sweet. Like I said, by the time this stuff is done, the sugar has been basically consumed. There's a way low level of alcohol in it. I'm so sensitive to alcohol, believe me, if there was any ethyl alcohol much at all in this, I would know it. But very, very little. So it's not something that I consider alcoholic at all. But it's just loaded with bacteria and good little things that have grown in there. So anyway, that's kind of what I've ended up with. Very, very carbonated. Okay. I'm going to show you the Scobie now. Barry has called his the mother, and then it reproduced a whole nother one under it, which is what he gave me, which was really cool. Okay, so I have it in this big jar. I put a lid on top from a coffee filter. One of the things that I've got to stress and stress and stress is that this entire process has to be done very cleanly. You don't want to be growing anything you don't want in there. And he taught me how to look for things that are not what I would want. So let's go ahead and show you my Scobie. Scobie, and it stands for symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. So symbiosis is where some living organism is able to live with another organism and they mutually benefit each other. So this Scobie has mutually beneficial colonies of good healthy bacteria and yeast growing in it. And it's supposed to be this yucky color. It's got little things hanging down. In fact, it looks like I am starting to grow another one here. I hope you can kind of see that. That's actually a good sign. The top has to be white, very shiny, nothing growing on it. No little fuzzy spots or funny colors. It should just be one sleek, shining top here. And then little bubbles forming along the side and nice streaks of brown and tan. From everything I can see, this has stayed very healthy. So about 10 days ago, I made this batch that I'm drinking here and used up a lot of the fluid that was in here. You have to leave some at the bottom, of course. And then I fed it more of the tepid tea with sugar in it, and then filled with water, and then it's been in a kind of a 70-degree-ish. It's a space on a cupboard in my bathroom that stays very steady. And then I was covering it because it doesn't like a lot of light. And then it's just been happily growing and staying healthy. So I'm very pleased with how it's doing. I don't see anything in here that isn't what it should be. So from what I can gather. Okay, so I'm going to put the Scobie right over here. The mother. Okay. Now, we ordered, I did want to tell you, like I said, I was very blessed to be able to get a mature baby from his mother. But there are kits that you can order where you can start a Scobie. Please just research it, read a lot of the directions. I'm not an expert on that at all. Barry did mention that sometimes it takes 2 or 3 batches to get a really good flavor when you're just getting one started. This is already mature and doing very well. So please, do a lot of research if you want to try that. But I can certainly show you the process that I'm using now. So Bill and I went online and ordered, these are actually beer brewing bottles. It's very important that they be extremely strong because they build up a lot of carbonation. And you don't want them suddenly breaking or exploding and putting a mess everywhere. So these are sturdy. They were washed just as soon as I got done emptying them. In fact, I'll take this one over and I'll be cleaning it out. I have a little tiny wooden spoon that can go in if some of this gets stuck, and I can just get it in there and get it out. I'll clean this out right away. I'm not using it today, so I'm not real worried about that this moment. But I will be getting that all cleaned out. And then this whole process has to be very clean. Clean hands. I just took my tea off of the fire and I'm setting it to cool. I don't want to put I don't want to put a lid on it because it'll take it forever to cool. But I've covered it with a paper towel very carefully because I don't want anything getting into that tea and sugar solution. Don't test it by sticking my finger in it or anything like that. Just let it cool off until I can pour a tiny bit out, and when I test that, I can make sure it's kind of just a good room temperature. So what I'm going to be doing then is my hands are freshly washed, and I have this scrub brush which is designated just for this. Bill ordered it for me and found it, and because it was really difficult to find something that would fit down these little skinny neck openings. So I have vinegar here, and like I said, these have already been thoroughly rinsed out, but I'm going to do some more cleaning. So one of the things that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and just, I forgot something important that I need. I just washed this extra. This thing is it's a funnel that came with the brewing bottles. It actually collapses down and makes this little flat thing. I just washed it again. So, but anyway, I can put that in here, and I'm just going to start out by just dumping some vinegar in here. Okay, and I'm going to put some vinegar in here. Now, I only do this process about every 10 days, so it's not like I'm using up tons and tons of vinegar all the time. But okay, now that's in there. I'm going to go ahead and take a moment and see these little sealers that go right on top of the lid there. I'm going to pop those off and just put them right in the vinegar so that they are all going to be getting a good soak in the disinfecting qualities of the vinegar. And I'm going to be doing 4 today. So, and I don't usually drink more than about a half a cup of the Scobie, of the kombucha at a time. That seems to do very well with my system. You don't want to drink a whole lot of it right at first until your body can get used to it, just because it'll tend to make your system, let's say, get very active. Yeah. So you have to give your body a chance to kind of adjust. Okay, now I'm going to let these guys really get in this vinegar. There we go. All right, now I'm going to put this here. Now I usually do this over by the sink. I'm just doing it here where I can show you. But this goes right down in here, and I'm just going to slosh this all around and scrub, scrub, scrub. Okay. Now what will happen is when I bring this up, and it'll get a little bit of vinegar on things, but that's not going to hurt anything. Usually I'm over at the sink. Woohoo! Whew, getting a vinegar spray here. Okay, now bringing that up there cleaned, and also when I just slosh this right out the top, that cleans too. So, and I'm going to tip this part of it in the vinegar. There we go. Sorry about the loud noise. All right, now I don't like to use a lot of paper towels, you know, if I can just use a towel, but this is one time where once I get these cleaned out, I want to take just a moment and I'm just going to cover them. Just make sure they've got just a gentle, you know, dust cover over the top. All right, now this goes into the next one. This vinegar, these bottles are basically clean, so I know this vinegar can do some more disinfecting than just one bottle. I'm going to just slush it around. In goes the brush. So you get the process here. We are going to go through and I just keep pouring the vinegar, making sure the entire bottle has had a chance to get scrubbed, and then I'm going to cover it so that it stays nice and clean. I'm also very careful to make sure that I really empty the last little bit of vinegar out. There we go. Oops. Okay. All right, so when I get them all done, I'll be right back. Okay, I have scrubbed these bottles out. I put vinegar in them. I've just really, really scrubbed them out. I'm going to take them over and just do one final rinse. And I dipped the little white caps I tipped the vinegar and dipped it in there. I've got my funnel sitting in the vinegar. My little caps are in the vinegar. And I'll show you then what I'm going to do next. So there are many different ways that you can flavor these. And I have used frozen fruit, fresh fruit. I've discovered, honestly, that my my Thrive Life freeze-dried fruit is easy and does a terrific job. So I'm using that. I have some cherries here, and I'm going to try something different. I'm going to put apricots. Last time I did cherries and raspberries. It was good. That's what this one is. That's where you get the color from, is the fruit. My son did one time that was ginger, like sliced up ginger, and lemon. I got to try that. That was excellent. So in each one of these, I'm going to put just a little bit of fruit. I'll pick this up off the table. And it doesn't take much, and I'm going to put a little bit of the apricots in there. I have absolutely fresh, cleaned hands, scrubbed clean. It's all very clean. Anyway, I'm going to get the fruit in here. Okay, so it's going to have some apricots and maybe a little bit more cherry. You see just a little bit there in the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and put the fruit in all 4 of these, and then I will be right back. All 4 of my bottles now have cherries and apricots in them. I went ahead and really rinsed off the funnel and the little caps here. Now these, with this type of bottle, these just fit on, trying to do it as carefully as I can here. I just washed my hands again. Fit on nice and snug right on top there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get all of the little caps put on all of these so that I am ready to go when it's time to start pouring. Now, I know that that big bacterial and yeast colony looks really kind of gross, but the smell is not bad at all. It's a kind of a real yeasty, clean kind of a smell. And so you'll notice that I'm going to have some fairly close contact with it. And it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. Okay, now all of these have the little seals on here now that have been soaked in the vinegar. There we go. Okay. Now, I want to fill these with the liquid from my Scobie here up to just about the neck, and that'll give it enough room and air that it can go ahead and ferment, but it keeps enough pressure that it'll build up a good amount of bubbles, so which tends to make it nice and effervescent. Okay, now take this off very carefully. I'm going to be replacing this with a nice fresh new coffee filter. Now look at it one more time. It's looking shiny and healthy. So my hand is not going to let the actual thing fall out. And I dribble a little bit, but it's all washable. And my Scobie may decide to do a little bit of a somersault, but nope, didn't that time. Good. Okay, now that looks just about right. Okay. Yeah. Got a lot of foam. But I think that should be fine. Now, what I'll do is pop this on. Nice and snug, and then this thing flips down and it has a nice strong seal. I have my liquid from the Scobie, and I have my fruit in this bottle. And like I said, the bottle's made for this. So, alrighty. I should be able to fill all 4 of these without too much trouble. Okay. All right, just a little bit more. Now I'm going to need to leave some in the bottom of this. There we go. I'm going to gently put this over the top here. Okay. Put that on. Okay, bottle 2. Okay, I'll go ahead and fill the last of these, and then I'll show them to you. And then once they're all full, I will take them into a nice kind of a dark, even temperature place I have in the bathroom, and give them at least 5 days. And then on the 5th day, I usually start checking one of them, and if it looks like it's a good flavor, then I get them put right into the refrigerator. I'll like test one of them, put it in the fridge. You do not want to try to open these until they've been chilled, because you are liable to get a spray that's going to travel, because they're very carbonated. So chill them off, and then if it looks like that one's good and done, then I'll go ahead and bring all of them, put them in the refrigerator so they'll stop the fermentation process. And then, of course, as my liquid over here with the tea and the sugar in it is cooling, I will be feeding my Scobie again. And then it will go back up into the closet, and I will just kind of keep an eye on it, but I won't mess with it much. And in about another 10 days, then I should be ready to get going with another batch. Okay, I have all 4 of my bottles filled. The colors vary a little bit depending on my proportion I put in of apricot to cherry. Okay, I'm going to go put these up on a shelf that stays kind of way in the back in the bathroom. The temperature, you want to keep it as close to like 72 degrees as you can, and try to have it be kind of like dim and dark. In fact, I'll show you later after I feed this Scobie that I wrap a towel kind of around the shoulders, not over the top. By the way, it's very important that it get oxygen. Very important. So I wrap it kind of around the shoulders, but not at the top where I have my little coffee filter. If there isn't enough oxygen in here, then what's growing goes anaerobic. And anaerobic bacteria are not what you want to be drinking. So you want to keep a good amount of oxygen in there so that this colony of bacteria and yeast can stay healthy and be the right thing. So you can see I left some of the fluid here in the bottom. And as soon as that, as my mixture of tea and sugar and everything gets nice and room temperature, I will feed this Scobie. In the meantime, I'm going to go put these bottles up. Okay. So here's the shelf where I put it. I have the bottles behind, and then I have a towel that I just wrap, like I said, kind of around the shoulders, helps keep any light out, but not on the top so it can breathe. Seems to do very well there. So I will see every time the bathroom door is open, which it is most of the time, it makes a dark spot in there. It doesn't seem to get too hot so far. It's been a good temperature. Alrighty. Okay, it's been 5 days. And I took one of my bottles of the kombucha that I had made, and I went ahead and brought it out and put it in the fridge. It's really important that it be really chilled so that it's not too carbonated. Now, I don't know if it'll be exactly the way I want it quite yet, so I'm going to test it, and if it looks like this is great, then I'll bring the rest of the bottles in, put them in the fridge. If it's not really ready yet, then this will be okay. I'll go ahead and just keep it in the fridge and drink it, but I'll let the others, like, ferment a little bit longer until they get just right. So this is my test bottle. Yeah, there's a little poof because it's carbonated. Now my hands are clean. I'm just gonna kind of decant a little bit off here just to test it. There we go. Like I said, I kind of don't want to have the fruit and all the stuff that's in there going into the drink, if I can help it. Sure smells good. This is the first time I've done cherry and apricot. Oh, that's delightful. Oh, that is delightful. Very effervescent. Okay, well, good. This whole batch came out very nice. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the fridge, and I'll bring the other bottles in and put them in the fridge and enjoy this kombucha. I usually drink about maybe a half a glass at a time, and these 4 bottles will last me pretty close to when I have the mixed batch pretty much ready to go. So, and I got plenty of bottles so I can kind of keep it moving along. So it takes about 5 days for this to be fully fermented, where it's just nice. And then I want to make sure I feed the mother the Scobie, at least every 10 days, and make sure that that is staying healthy. So, all right. Well, like I said, if try to do a lot of research if you want to consider doing this yourself. And I can't tell you how exactly to work with those starter kits. Maybe you can find somebody that's more of an expert on it than I would be. But this is a nice way for me to get some good healthy bacteria, and so I wanted to show you kind of what's involved in how I make kombucha. Alrighty. Okay, all right, listen, love you guys. Live simple, live free, and thanks for coming along, and we'll see you later. Okay, bye-bye.